Hello and welcome to another Dark Mount video review. Today I'm taking a look at the reissued MP-08 Masterpiece Grimlock that came with the crown they were originally saying transformed from a collector's coin, but it is a solid mold. And it also comes with the flame cover for his sword accessory here. So as you can see, I have Grimlock all done up in his weight staff uniform, just because I think this is probably the most ridiculous thing to be officially included with any Transformer ever made. The fact that this is not some like crazy third-party set and is actually something that they included in the box makes me really happy. It's all very easy to put on and off. It's just a simple peg that will go into any number of places. Actually, he doesn't have that many peg holes, so it'll go onto the pegs in both of his hands, at least. The bow tie up here just clips on. It's actually on a little plastic peg that slides into a hole in his chest right here. And the rest of this is just Velcro. And it all comes off very easily. So all of that goofiness aside, Grimlock is a really, really awesome T-Rex figure. He is obviously based on the older ideas of a T-Rex, since it was a G1 figure design. So you're not going to be able to get him standing up or anything like that. His tail is always on this kind of a curve. But that is the way Grimlock was designed, so not a problem there with me. He has a kind of articulated neck because it is hooked up to his tail. There's a gimmick where you can rotate his tail back and forth and it will swing his head around. He has posability in his arms, which are both on ball joints. There is full back and forth movement on his arms. They can go from all the way here, all the way up to the other side. And each of the three pointy claws on his hands are all individually articulated as well. And unlike the Hasbro version, these are actually relatively pointy. He has movement, very tight ball joints in his hips, swivel in the upper legs, and a double knee joint, and then some toe and heel articulation. Other than that, he just has a really cool look about him. He's definitely a G1 inspired figure. There's no doubt about that. Both his aesthetic and his transformation harken back to his G1 toy very, very well. To accommodate that, they built in a gimmick up at the top here where you can actually open this part of his head up, and inside you will find multiple different eyes. So you can lift this part and spin it around until it clicks back in and give him his red eyes from his toy release instead of the blue eyes from the TV show. So that's pretty neat. For a size comparison, in his T-Rex mode, here he is next to MP-10. And next to Blue Streak. Now, to transform this sucker, you want to start by coming in here. Well, you can start either in the upper portion or in the bottom portion. It's probably a lot easier on video if we start down here. So you're going to end up splitting this entire tail apart. You can start either by trying to pry the very bottom tips of the tail and work your way up. I find that's much more difficult, And I've looked at the joints in here, and they seem strong enough that you should be able to split them by pulling that way and not have any issues. Due to the way that these joints right here are designed, that's not going to be putting any outward pressure on anything that should break anything. So do that at your own risk. That's how I've been opening mine since I got it, and I haven't had any stress marks or anything like that. It makes it open pretty easily. If you feel more comfortable trying to open it from the bottom, I feel like you're actually going to run more of a risk of snapping these plastic pieces, but it's totally up to you. Once you've got these freed up, you can go ahead and split them a little bit and rotate the entire leg bit around. And now what you're going to be doing, and this is an interesting bit of transformation here, what you're going to be doing is folding this piece up and around like this, so you can fold this entire part in, and you'll see there's a bar right here that will peg in the leg right there. Like that. Once you've done that, you can fold this piece in right here, straighten this leg bit out, and fold this entire section, fold this entire section up like that to fill in this entire section, and then rotate this around to fill in the rest of the leg. And then you can just straighten the leg out and do the same thing on the other side. So, inside the leg, you can rotate this around like this, fold this back, fold this in until it clicks, fold this entire part up, and fold the tip of the tail in. That will fill in this part, and then rotate this plastic bit in like that. And there you have both of Grimlock's feet. Once you are done that, you can come back up to this portion right here and split it, which is slightly difficult to do. Although I've never had this much trouble. There we go. Once you've done that, you can kind of flop this head backwards to get it out of your way, and open these up, and you can angle them up as well. Once you've done that, you can straighten the knees out more, lift this whole section upwards on this joint, and slide this part in until it locks. Then you want to straighten out the leg bits. And rotate the arms down. And you can open these side panels and pop out the hands. Once you're done all that, you have MP Grimlock in his robot mode. This figure is an amazing homage to G1. And my mistake, there's a tab pin that just holds that there. This is a wonderful homage to G1. This feels to me like what my memory says G1 Grimlock's toy was. Somehow they managed to kind of go into my nostalgic mind as a child and pull out something that makes the G1 Grimlock design look even better than he did when we had the original toy. This thing is well detailed, it's well built, it's pretty much everything I would want in an MP Grimlock. He looks great from every angle. He has the perfect kibble and the perfect placement to really pull off his G1 silhouette. And I can't really think of anything that I would complain about. They even managed to build in the same gimmick that he had in his dinosaur mode, where there's a small switch on the back of his head here that will actually change his robot mode eyes from their cartoon accurate blue to their toy red. So that is really quite awesome. He has two different weapons, and they both feature some clear plastic because his right hand here actually has an LED light built into it. So depending on which weapon you put in there, pressing the button on the top of his arm will make it light up. So on the gun, it's really only these tips right here that light up, and on the sword, it's definitely a much more dramatic effect. But unfortunately, neither of them are super bright, and you're not going to be able to see them super well under normal bright conditions. So if you're displaying your guys in like a lit area, it's probably not going to show up very well if you try to display that feature. His other hand has articulated fingers, so it's a little difficult to make him hold things. So what they did is they included a little tiny peg. If I can get my camera to focus on it. There's a little peg to the side of the normal handle on both of the weapons that pegs into a small hole on Grimlock's hand right here, which allows him to hold weapons even though his hands are not actually designed to hold pegs, which is another really cool little workaround. Now, to cover the two things that came with this reissue, both the flame sword cover and the crown. This crown was originally said, and I don't know where this rumor started or who misinformed who, but when the pre-orders for this reissue originally went out, it said that it had a transforming collector's coin that transformed into a crown. Obviously this does not transform. This is a solid molded piece. It's very heavy. It is molded metal, so that's very nice. I don't know what kind of metal this is exactly. It looks like some kind of light bronze or something. I'm not entirely positive. But it's very cool looking. It looks like it was kind of hammered out by someone, which is very fitting for a character like Grimlock. And it is definitely not a transforming coin. It did come packaged in a collector's coin little circle square thing, circle plastic thing, but it's definitely not a coin. So they've all since corrected their descriptions on the retail sites, but I don't know where that came about. This will, using indents, just plug right into Grimlock's head, giving him a really crazy crown. And this little piece of rubbery, silicone-y plastic right here actually just slides over the sword. So if you take a look at the sword, there's a little hilt piece right here, and there's a small little cutout on here. So what you want to do is just slide this plastic right over this, and it does not sit all the way down to the bottom, unfortunately. It kind of rests up a little bit, so it leaves some gapping there, which is not so great. And then you can plug this right back into his hand, and there he has his flame sword. And again, you can use the light up feature, and it will light that sword up for you. I have to be honest, I'm not a super big fan of either of these. The crown doesn't fit on super well. It's definitely better than the flame sword, but the flame sword itself doesn't look that great. It kind of blocks the light up effect, and it makes the sword very heavy, so it has to be placed in a very specific, very tight range, actually. It's really only about right here that you can put it without it falling over. If you put it even slightly more at an angle, the thing falls over completely. It's very, very heavy. It's several times heavier than the original sword itself. So I'm going to be honest, I appreciate these kind of being a free included thing, but I'm probably not going to be using either of these. As for size comparison, here he is again next to MP-10 Prime. And I'm not usually much of a scale guy, but in this particular instance, scale does tend to kind of fall down a little bit. I know the G1 toy wasn't super huge, but in the cartoons, which is technically what these toys are going for accuracy for, cartoon design, in the cartoons, Grimlock was substantially bigger than the rest of the Autobots. I mean, he would probably be... Prime would probably be somewhere around this level, so Grimlock should be at least a couple inches taller. It still doesn't bug me. I just wish that Grimlock was slightly larger. I wish that he was maybe, you know, like up here or something. All I'm asking for is really a little bit. There is a third-party toy company that's coming out with, I think it's a Slag figure. I could be wrong. It's one of the other Dinobots, and they are including some kind of stilts for this MP Grimlock that's going to raise him up about that much, which is about what I'm asking for. So if you're someone who's really bothered by that, you can look into that set. I'm not entirely sure who it is right now, and I don't know how expensive it is, but it is out there if you'd like it. I'm probably not going to do that because it doesn't bother me that much, but it is definitely an option. For articulation, you have the same very heavy ball joints in what are now the shoulders, the upper arm swivel, the double joint, and you have some hand rotation and articulated fingers. You have the index finger articulated with the rest of the hand articulated as a giant chunk, and a ball-jointed thumb. On his other hand, however, you only have the articulated thumb because the rest of the hand incorporates the light-up gimmick. He does not have any waist swivel due to the way his torso forms. He does have the out and in hip movement, and another swivel here. So you have a very good range of motion. You then have knee bends and a little bit of ankle movement, but not really any tilt to speak of. You have head on a very expressive ball joint. And I apologize, my bird is making some goofy noises right now. And these wings on the back can articulate both in and out, and in any pose you want in between, really. All in all, I think this is probably my second favorite masterpiece that I have. I'm a really big fan of MP-10. I think he's pretty much the perfect Prime that could ever be made, like the most perfect representation of him. I've really liked all of the Masterpiece figures that I've gotten so far, so it's hard for me to pick a favorite, but I think this is definitely probably up there if I have to pick a favorite. He has barely any kibble that shouldn't be there. His transformation is really fun, but not overly complicated like some of the first Masterpieces were. And he's got really just good construction. I don't feel worried about any of his parts breaking. Overall, I just really like his design, and I think he was a really worthwhile purchase. So I'm happy that I went for him. He wasn't a Masterpiece I was originally planning on picking up until they were doing a reissue. He was a little expensive to find before this reissue came out, so I'm glad that they did a reissue. I'm glad that it's going to get into the hands of some people who might not have gotten him before, like me. And I hope if you do end up getting him, that you enjoy. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.